Hey everybody, this is Real Sean Irish coming at you on the weekend, just to leave another little message, a little communique. I love it when trains are going by in the background. It's just awesome. It's like the best background ever. It's so Americana. I've always liked the sound of trains, but that's a side point. So, just wanted to say, much to my chagrin and dismay, that President Obama, during his second term, went all racial. Somewhere near the end of his first term, I thought America had finally gotten past that racial divide as a country, and I think in large part we have. But what I'm going to focus on here this time is the Obama effect, which was his second term was used in large part by the White House and operatives out of the White House and throughout the government to create tremendous racial divide. It's just we were just about over it. I mean, we got skeeters out here tonight, so I'm going to have to do a little slapping while I'm talking. But the point being that at the end of his first term, I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine on July 4th. It was 2012. It was close to July 4th where we were having this conversation, and God rest his soul. But he's not with us anymore. But we were debating whether or not America was past that point of where the KKK could just go march down the street and people would even show up. You know, like they were so isolated and the numbers were so small, and that this overt racism that we had seen maybe growing up as kids or later on in life just seemed to be fading away pretty quickly. And Obama's first term had a lot to do with that. So because that was happening, I believe the second term, that just wasn't the desired effect. And even though Obama did very little for the black community over here, let's say in West End, the entire time he was in the White House, I see very little, because we can't really see any change over here other than there's some Obama stuff around here and there. I mean, let's be real. Trump's first year and a half has been just pretty good for the black community in terms of unemployment, dropping the unemployment numbers, bringing jobs back. He's working on the prison system. He's just signaled he's going to take a look at the prison system, that it's not only just the number of inmates we have, which is just fantastic number of people sitting in prison compared to other cultures around the world, but the re-incarceration rate after somebody leaves prison is just too big. It's just ridiculous. Something's going wrong. Something's very wrong. And it's not just because people are all bad. Yeah, everybody has a thing, right? And everybody can be tempted, and you see that. You see that all over the place. But this is something else. So, anyway. But during Obama's second term, anybody remember Valerie Jarrett in 2016? This is during the elections. Valerie Jarrett was meeting with Black Lives Matter. And this was a little thing that made headlines, and then it got buried very quickly because it wasn't convenient for Democrats. But Valerie Jarrett was meeting with Black Lives Matter to foment insurrection in the streets in 2016. She's in the White House. She's obviously a surrogate for Obama. What is going on here? So that's only 4 years after I was having this conversation with my friend, and we were contemplating what we called a post-racial America, that we were crossing that divide, that there wouldn't be any need to go back to the racial or the racially divided America. It just didn't make any sense because people were doing their own thing. Everything was starting to happen in a good way. And like I said, apparently the Obama White House didn't like that at all, and set about to, I guess there's more money to be made in conflict than there is in peace, which was true, as we know, from Johnson and Nixon and a lot of these presidents. There's a lot more money to be made in conflict than peace. And so when we did, Obama started 3 or 4 more conflicts abroad, never had a day of peace during his entire Nobel Peace Prize administration of 8 years, didn't have a single day of peace. We were prosecuting wars all over the world, drone bombing civilians and drone bombing our own civilians, extrajudicially. That I guess we had to start some racial divide here to get things going, get that racial thing cooking up, man, get it all racial up in here. I don't know what the fuck that was, pardon me, I don't know what the fuck that was about, but that's what Obama did, and anybody that was clear-headed and was paying attention, it just got real obvious during his second term, to the latter part of his second term, that he was ginning up the whole racial thing, and BLM was like, it's like, yeah, some of these guys were criminals. Some of them were innocent, some of them were criminals, some of them got shot essentially in the commission of a crime. Can't help it, if you're crazy enough to go commit crimes against cops, I mean, whatever, man, cops are going to defend themselves. They want to go home at the end of the day too, so look at it that way. And that's all I got to say on that matter. So I wouldn't bother with that. But the second thing was he ginned up Obama and Clinton started ginning up this anti-China hate, which I can go along with some of that because China's been stealing all our patents. They've been literally stealing our factories because there's zero competition over there. Because their engineers earn $1.15 an hour. Now, if you can compete with that, good luck. Okay, that's the equivalent of $1.15 an hour. No, you don't want to do business with China if you can help it, to be perfectly honest. And sometimes you can't help it. They've just taken over certain industries. But yeah, they're not on the level playing field at all. I'm totally about what President Trump is doing. But so Obama started up that hate thing. He just really wanted to get some sabers rattling. And then he goes after Russia. What the hell did Russia do? Anybody remember what Russia did? Hacked emails? I mean, everybody hacked Hillary's email servers. God, Barney and Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble were in her email server. Everybody was in her email server. Stormy Daniels must have been in her email server. I don't know. Everybody, because she didn't. I mean, it wasn't encrypted. You're going to have government emails and classified emails on a server that wasn't encrypted. Oh, and 30 just so happens 30 or 40,000 of those emails ended up in Anthony Weiner's laptop. Yeah, no, let's not even go there. So I find Obama's motives for all this very suspicious. I find Clinton's motives for this very, very suspicious. They were getting ready to start the police state, I'm pretty sure. And that's what it was about ginning up all the KKK stuff during his second term. Because that's what a lot of this stuff was. A lot of this so-called police violence, some of it was KKK. And they were being encouraged very heavily. From what anybody can tell. And they're a very small contingent, but of course they're well placed, just like these deep state creeps and everybody else. They just don't know who they're working for. They just think they're getting all racial up in there. And who knew Obama would be cheerleading for the KKK to get it all racial up here in the United States? Because I'm not. I don't know anybody who is, to be perfectly honest. So there you go. That's just my 2 cents. Obama's second term was all about the racial divide, especially the latter part of his second term. All about the racial divide. They thought they could use that and get support from the Democratic Party and all these little splinter groups that they have, and which is why I really love, right at this moment, sitting back and watching the headlines and watching the polls and watching the Democratic Party fall to pieces. I really like it. After being a lifetime Democrat, Dem-exit during the convention in 2016. During the convention, I Dem-exited. I was one of the first. Said never going back. I'm not going back. I've found out more since then, a lot more. And so after 40-something years, I would say, well, 40 years as an adult voting age, done with the Democrat Party, you should be too. But enough of this racial divide stuff, eh?